Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Looking for a unique point of view on pro sports game analysis? Then tune in to Big C Sports Podcast on iHeartRadio. Get real sports talk worldwide. Miss a live episode? Replay it on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Join Big C, former NFL player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster, covering all sports including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Tune in live or on demand on iHeartRadio Podcast today.
You gotta get there you go now.
I think I'm
Oh, let's see. You gotta get You gotta get
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 0181468.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vidi Vidi Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charles of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe. And that would include you. Nam yo regeyo, nam yo regeyo, nam yo regeyo. You know, I had to get that in there for Big C Sports Podcast because I'm trying an Instacart moment. I want to say what a beautiful day. It is Tuesday, October the 1st, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard in the world. You go by and test drive yours. Tell them sent you where the good Lord split you. And hopefully, he didn't split you too wide. I do see a lot of people walking around with a wide split. In fact, I was out doing my power walking yesterday after I did my show, and there are people walking around. Do they tell ladies that you don't have to walk around with your butt cheeks hanging out? I mean, I'm not saying I was looking, but I'm not saying I wasn't looking. But it's not necessary to do that. You got ladies walking around. You can see the backside of the universe. I don't want to see the backside of the universe. I rarely see men walking around with their tails hanging out. I don't know what it is about clothing makers, but women walk around with their backside hanging out, even in the Olympics. You notice how some of the Olympic women, when they're running, now I'm not saying I'm complaining, but why do women have to walk around or even run a race? It's as if they're wearing panties. You don't see men doing that unless they're in a swimming competition, diving off the high dive. But when you're just out walking around and trying to get in shape, it's okay to wear more than panties. Maybe I have a clue. Maybe God's trying to teach me something. I'm going to come out with a new underwear line. It's a sports underwear line for Big C Sports. It's called Extra Wide Load. Give that some praise. If you got an extra wide load, you got to give me some praise. I'm telling you, it's going to say extra wide load. If that makes sense to you. Extra white load. What a day. Really do appreciate that. I had that epiphany, and I had to bring that up. I want to say everybody have a great day. It's the first day of the month of October. October the 1st. And we're going to have a lot of great things to talk about this month of October. I know we have the VP nomination tonight. Actually, they're having a debate. And obviously, J.D. Vance. And then also, when you look at why, on the Republican side, you have J.D. Vance. And that good boy is trying to tell you that he saw some white people eating dogs. He said some white people are eating dogs. And how would he know? He said some white people were eating dogs. I said, that's not fair to say that one specific group of people are eating dogs. But that's what J.D. Vance said. And his boss said it too, that some white people are eating dogs. They're eating cats and dogs. Okay, now I got to give you equal time. Because Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee, he said they're trying to save dogs and cats. Which one you gonna vote for? The man that says he likes people who eat cats and dogs? Or the man that says they want to save cats and dogs? Yeah, you heard it with your own two eyes and ears. I can't make this stuff up, but I'm going to talk about the good old boys that are running for the VP. They're stomping for the VP, and I'll get into that also. But I do want to say I love what I do with Big C Sports Podcast because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and I don't want to waste my mind. But I will tell you, I also may write my name in for the presidential nominee for the United States. And I'm gonna do something that's gonna make everybody happy. I'm gonna give $100 million to everybody. How much? I said I'm gonna give $100 million to everybody. That's my story. If you don't want to vote for that, you must be out of your fucking mind. I'm gonna give $100 million to everybody. In the meantime, I produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter and $100 million in our lives. As I always tell you, the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. 1st and 10, 50-yard line, 4 wide outs, 5-man front. The snap. Jared Goff rolling to his right, rolling. He throws downfield. It is caught. Caught for the touchdown. Touchdown, Lions. Rah! Big C, 50 yards. We want a real lion, Big C. We want a real lion. Well, you can't have a real lion. Rah! Why don't they have a real lion as a mascot? You know how college football they have a mascot. The USC Trojans, they have a horse. The Georgia Bulldogs, they have a bulldog. Alabama, they have an elephant. In Michigan, they have a Wolverine. I would love to see in the NFL, on the sideline. The Detroit Lions, they need a real lion on the sideline. I upload the show to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. And number 10, I never missed a show. And now we have people who miss practice. I'm not talking about the game. I'm talking about practice. We have people who miss practice. But I never missed a show. The great Allen Iverson, he talked about people who said it's just practice. It's just practice. It's just practice. What would the Detroit Lions do if they had a real mascot? A real lion. Like Lion King. Simba! They have a real lion as a mascot. He played like it last night. He was 18 for 18. People say he was thrown with a laser beam. He's a Jedi Knight trained long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away by the great Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now he's a Jedi Knight playing for the Detroit Lions. I want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. I want to let there be light as I shine light all over the world with Big C Sports Podcast. You know what I always want to do, and I don't want to be shy about it. I do it with full intention. I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline. My great-granddaddy was a veteran. My grandparents were veterans. And then my daddy is a veteran. I have nephews that are veterans and brother who's a veteran. A lot of veterans that run in my family, and none of us got the Homestead Act, and none of us got the GI Bill. But we still love this country, and we fight for this country, and we fight for equality. Now, I believe people got to fight for the right, for democracy. I want to do that too. I want to make sure that I spread liberty and justice all over the world, and I believe J.D. Vance is going to do that tonight, and VP nominee Walz is going to do that tonight also, as they're going to talk about reparations for descendants of child slavery, because they're all asking for the black vote. That means California Governor Gavin Newsom's not invited to this parade. It's not his parade, because he'll tell you he's going to do something and he'll sucker punch you. He'll sucker punch you. You ever been sucker punched? You don't want to be sucker punched. The man called for a task force in California, and then he vetoed the task force bill. Are you out of your fucking mind? Doesn't make any sense, but people do sometimes things that don't make sense. If you know anybody going through issues, you got the Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. They will stand on their head to get our veterans of help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise, because we all need somebody to lean on. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, I love doing what I do with Big C Sports Podcast, growing by leaps and bounds as Big C Sports Podcast. Of course, I'm on NBA, NFL, ESPN, Major League Baseball, and also I love track and field, did the Olympics as well. I do college football, college basketball, and I love Big C's Friday Night Lights that I do every Friday for the high school football teams that Big C goes out right now. And I talk to other media outlets all over the country to find out who's worthy. Are you worthy of being Big C's #1 ranked high school football team from sea to shining sea? I do that with Big C Sports Podcast. You know, there's a lot of things that are happening in the world of sports. But before I get into sports, I'm so turned on about what's going on in the world of politics. I'm gonna open up saying, I want you to hear something. Here's POTUS 45 thoughts on NFL football. They say sports and politics don't mix.
Football is as big as the NFL. I mean, some people want to watch that as opposed to the NFL. And I don't know what they're doing with the kickoff return in the NFL. And I don't want to get involved in controversy, of course, but it looks so bad. And I noticed they haven't done that in college, and they shouldn't do it. And I think the NFL should go back. I mean, maybe it's a little more dangerous. I doubt it's any more dangerous. It is, it's football. I think they made a terrible mistake in doing that. But you look at this, and they haven't. That was the first thing I was looking at. I said, have they done it? They haven't. It looks so strange. And you don't take something that's working and change it. But this is really big-time football, and it's great to see.
So that was POTUS 45 and his thoughts that NFL football is not exciting. And then he says, it's exciting. Is it exciting or is it not exciting? Why is the president talking about NFL football? Because he can. Because I tell you, even Big C Sports talks about the presidency as well as NFL football. Get that some praise. Give it all praise. A mind is a terrible thing to least. I want to say, as I get into the talk on NFL football with Big C Sports Podcast, I want to pay homage to the debate tonight for the VP between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. I know it's already underway. A lot of good old boys are going to say they want to watch football. You know, football is, out of 100 shows, football ranks in the top 92 of 100 shows. The top 92! In the top 92 of 100 shows. And he said he doesn't like it. All's fair, number one. Live debate tonight, presidential tonight, the push for the White House. What kind of house makes it? The push for the White House is the debate for the day. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who said that white people are eating dogs and cats. Rumor has it, he says that white people are eating dogs and cats, even though POTUS 45 said there were people of color eating dogs and cats. And then Tim Walz, he says they want to save, he and Kamala Harris want to save dogs and cats. So the Republican and the Democratic VP nominees, who both touted their Midwestern roots and the campaign trail, will face off tonight in New York City. And you can tune in to the CBS News Vice Presidential Debate It's tonight, October 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS or simulcast. So it's already underway. No matter what you think about politics, you gotta take your head out of your assets because you want to know what's going on in this country. You gotta know. And I believe tonight they're saying that reparations for descendants of chattel slavery will be the number one issue between Walz and Vance. We will see. The running mates will make their pitches to the voters across the country, with Vance expected to focus on the southern border. And President Trump, he blocked a bill to make the border stronger. That's a fact. And then Walz is going to zero in on abortion access and other reproductive rights. And he feels that he and Kamala Harris feel that women should have sovereignty over their bodies. J.D. Vance said he should have sovereignty over a woman's body, and that white people are eating cats and dogs. Can you believe that? That's what I heard. Rumor has it. So the Ohio senator and Minnesota governor will also trade jabs on the economy and which ticket can bring down costs for Americans. You can keep it up by watching on CBS that both Walz and Vance are widely expected to address the devastation caused by Hurricane Helene, also across the parts of the Southeast. But another leader in Republican Byron Donalds, the Republican of Florida, criticized President Joe Biden's leadership ahead of the debate as relief efforts continue, and they're blaming President Biden for the hurricanes that hit the South Coast. Does that make sense? They're blaming Biden for the hurricanes. They don't want to blame Mother Nature. They want to blame Biden for the hurricanes. I can tell you, and they say white people are eating cats and dogs. Why would Vance say that? And why would Trump say that? I don't understand it. I haven't seen anybody eat cats and dogs. No, I've seen people eat chicken. I've seen people eat cows. I've even seen people eat oxtails, and I'm one of them. But I haven't seen people eating cats and dogs. But so you can go back to the debate with POTUS 45 had a debate with Kamala Harris, and he said the debate went so against him that he doesn't need more anymore. You ever have somebody whip you so bad you say, I don't want any more, I'm done. I've had enough. I've had enough. Oh, Lord have mercy. I gotta tell you, I just wish the best for this country, and I'm gonna put in my hat for President of the United States. The October surprise. They haven't told you what the October surprise is yet. The October surprise, running for president of the United States, and I've already raised $200 billion. I've raised $200 billion. Big C is running for president of the United States, and I got to make sure I get all the votes. Count all the votes. With $200 billion, I should be able to run quite a successful campaign. So that's my story. I'm gonna stick with it. You know, I want to make sure that people in this country, they know, before I get into some more sports, even POTUS, every POTUS loves football. Really do appreciate it. But I gotta tell you, I have some commercials on infomercials that I've been working on with the Big C team. As I tell you, mine is a terrible thing to waste. And hopefully soon, I will have my new sports line, my sportswear is called Big C's Extra Wide Load. What kind of load, Big C? It's Big C's Extra Wide Load. It's going to be the #1 sports garment in the universe. Just make sure you don't wear them backwards. You don't want to wear them backwards. Make sure you wear them frontwards. You don't want to wear a Big C's sports garment backwards. They fit more comfortable when you wear them front ways. Oh God, life is so funny. I gotta tell you, I love what life is all about. I thank God for everything that's good in my life. I want to say I have a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. Now pay attention, because it's going to be a quiz. And in this quiz, I take my quiz in front of the whole world, so I can't make a mistake. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth, Resource Development Consulting, Inc., in conjunction with the law offices of Scott Thibodeau, attorney at law, and the law office of attorney George Jones, Esquire. The Missing Link, long-term care, solutions by the book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Listen up, people. Medicare and You, taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. And other parts of the country, it's called Medicaid. By the government's handbook, your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. You can find out your options, or I promise to you, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. You got to tell them Big C sent you. Our promise to you, listen up, athletes from the NFL to the NBA and Major League Baseball. And even what they call Joe Blow, that's what they call him, Joe Blow. Joe Blow would love my Big C's extra wide load sportswear. It's specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without the spend down, all paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by our staff of entitlement specialists. We have ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary, benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. But not only that, protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. You got to protect your assets. In fact, last night in the game, what a game it was. Seattle and Detroit, the Lions beat the Seahawks. I told you in a real fight, a lion would maul a Seahawk. And last night, they played like they had real lions at Ford Field in Detroit because Jared Goff was 18 of 18. That good old boy was thrown with a laser beam. It was a good game, but at the same time, the Lions, when you have a real lion on the field, kind of scares people. Protection of your assets. They were protecting his assets every time he dropped back to pass, and that's why he was 18 for 18, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. If you don't have a will and a trust, the probate courts, they will have one for you, and you will not like it. Now, I was talking to some good old boys, some attorneys. I'm talking about some good attorneys. The AV-rated lawyers by Martindale Hubble, they rate their attorneys. And these good old boys say, Big C. I said, yeah. They said, would you believe that 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and a trust? I said, oh, you must be out of your fucking mind. They said, no, seriously, Big C. 7 out of 10 Americans do not have a will and a trust. That's 10 people. And 7 out of 10 will not have a will and a trust, but they will have cable TV. They must be out of their fucking mind. Does that make sense? If you don't have a will and a trust at the end of your life, then the probate court decides what happens with your assets, if that makes sense to you. And they take between 10 to 40%. There's other lawyers call ambulance chasers. And they look for people that they can go after their assets. And a lot of them will tell you you don't even owe a penny unless they win the case. Because they don't care how much money that you have. If they go after someone who has a lot of money, and they don't protect their assets, they know they're going to get a judgment against those people. That's why they will take the case. If we don't win, you don't pay. Of course you ain't going to pay. You'll bill them $40,000. Okay? A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. But not only that, I'm not done yet. Asset protection. When you think about asset protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning, and avoid the look-back period. What about fixed assets? Big C, does the trust protect that? Well, I'm glad you asked. A trust protects your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market accounts, your certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed index annuities. What about variable assets, Big C? Well, how about that? I'm glad you asked. Real estate, qualified money, your IRAs, your 401ks, your other investments. For example, avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000, and then 1 year later that house appreciates to $1 million. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gain. You avoid that with a trust. You got to have a trust to avoid the capital gains. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. You got to find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. Well, Big C, that might sound like it's good information, but my friend, he also does trust. Now, why would we choose the RDC team and the Big C team? Well, I'm glad you asked, because we have references. Did your friend offer references? Because a lot of good boys, they say, I got a friend, and he does trust too. But if you have references, documentation beats conversation. We have the references of the late James Gomez. Who's the late James Gomez, Big C? He advised 4 California governors and led change in California's nursing homes. He was also the CEO of the California Association of Health Facilities. He endorsed the RDC team. He also served on Golden One's board of directors for 21 years. But not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson. He's the top legal counsel for CalPERS, one of the top employers in California. He endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, we have George Jones, Esquire. He's the chair of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. We have attorney Scott Thibodeau, one of the top estate planners in Northern California. We have Mr. Leon Woods, who works with many of the top lobbyists in California. But not only that, we have Mrs. Cheryl Brown. Now, she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz. He's the CEO of Resource Development Consulting. Been doing this thing over 34 years. But not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of Veteran Benefits, and he helps military veterans. He endorsed the RDC team. At the same time, we have Big C, Charlton Curry, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, also business development consultant with the RDC team, and also owner of Big C Sports Podcast, the #1 sports show in the universe. I endorse the RDC team. But not only that, we have Double O, the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She's also business development consultant with the RDC team. But not only that, has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on accesssacramento.org. Also, KUBU 96.5 FM and eatprivate.net. You got to give that some praise. I said give it praise, because we all need somebody to believe in. You can believe in the RDC team. And that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I told you, I got a commercial that I love giving out, and I do it live, and I don't redact it. I do it live. You hear me, you sponsors that looking for voiceover work, because I got it coming. But I can't wait until I launch my extra wide load. It's going to be tops and bottoms. I just got a message to the men. When you get on the Big C extra wide load Speedo, make sure you put them on the right way. You don't want the extra wide load in the back. You don't want the extra wide load in the back. People might start looking at you like you crazy, and you don't want to be seen as crazy. I know what it feels like when someone says, Big C, are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, I think sometimes I am. Sometimes I am. But that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, I'm big on reparations, and I believe that tonight we're going to hear our VP candidates talk about reparations, J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, because reparations, they want to give descendants of chattel slavery the Just Act. They want justice, the Just Act for descendants of chattel slavery, because we didn't get it as African Americans. They know that we did not get the Homestead Act of 1862. They didn't give it to us. They only gave it to white men. They gave 160 acres of land to white men only, and they know that was wrong, and they want to fix it for descendants of chattel slavery. But they say they also gave it to white Europeans. Yeah, that's true. They also gave it to white Europeans, and they know that was wrong, and they're gonna fix it. They're gonna fix it. They know that black soldiers did not get the GI Bill after World War II. They only gave that to white men. That was not right, Big C. I know it was not right. That's why they're gonna talk about it tonight. They want to fix it. They want to make sure that they pass reparations for descendants of chattel slavery. You gotta give that some praise. I said, give it praise, praise, praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. But not only that, they want to show the honor of the best speaker in the history of this country on reparations. Listen with your own eyes and ears.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts. and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this sometime back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote here.
I want you to pay attention because the VP nominees tonight in Vance and Walz will talk about what Dr. Martin Luther King said 60 years ago about doing the right thing for descendants of chattel slavery to make America great. Listen with your own eyes and ears.
Yes.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America, and it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it, murdered them, murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. It's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Now, you heard what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said about reparations, and that's what Vance and Walz will talk about tonight, to make America great. You better believe that when America does the right thing by its citizens, that reparations will be top of the mind in tonight's VP debate. California Governor Gavin Newsom, he got it wrong. Shame on you. Listen to the ovation that Vance and Walz are getting about reparations behind the camera.
Sports for a unique point of view on NCAA, pro sports teams, and big-time players. Tune in now to Big C Sports Podcast. You get real sports talk worldwide. Even if you miss a live episode, you can replay it on demand. Google Big C Sports. Longtime award-winning radio broadcaster covering all sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Google the Big C Sports Podcast live or on demand today. Do it now.
Let's get ready to rumble! Let's get ready to rumble. I love saying let's get ready to rumble. I love bringing it to your Big C style. I got the election. I heard that people were eating cats and dogs. That's what POTUS 45 was saying. He said that white people were eating cats and dogs. and why said they want to make sure that they protect cats and dogs. I'm just telling you, I heard it with my own 2 ears, but that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Welcome to Big C Sports Podcast. It's not your great-granddaddy's sports show. And my great-granddaddy, he always listened to sports, and with his church buddies, they talk about the Bible, and they talk politics and sports. Woo! You wonder where I got it from. You wonder where I got it from. All's fair in love and war. I do want to say, runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Hitting deep in Dimdale Hills, California. Well, I got to tell you, we got Major League Baseball. The playoffs. Playoffs. I'm just trying to win a game. They're just trying to win a game. Major League Baseball. This is the time of year that makes Major League Baseball great. No matter what you think, with the wild card starting up, and then you have the teams that are destined to win it all, according to people out of Vegas. I'm just going to go over some teams in their seedings, and I'm going to start with the American League. We got Detroit. They are a 6 seed. Kansas City is a number 5 seed. And the number 5 seed, Kansas City, they're playing the number 4 seed, the Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles. And then the Detroit, the Tigers are playing the number 3 seed, the Houston Astros. That's the wild card game. I don't give out scores, and those teams will advance. The winner of Detroit and Houston will advance to play the Big C's. The Big C's? Yeah, Cleveland, the Cleveland Guardians. And then the winner of Kansas City and Baltimore, they will play the New York Yankees. The Yankees are the number 1 seed in the American League, and Cleveland's the number 2 seed in the American League. In the National League, the New York Mets, great to see New York having 2 teams in the playoffs. I think it's great for sports. And then outside of that, you have Milwaukee, the number 3 seed. You have the Atlanta Braves, the number 5 seed. The San Diego Padres, the number 4 seed. And when you have the winner of New York and Milwaukee, they will advance to play Philadelphia, the number 2 seed. And the winner of Atlanta and San Diego, they will advance to play the Los Angeles Lakers, the number 1 seed in the National League. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I love saying, no matter what you think about sports, baseball, when it's playoff times, it's amazing. It's one of the most enjoyable sports to watch when the buntings on the stadiums. And I know I feel bad for the Oakland Coliseum in the East Bay, the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. No more baseball will be played there ever. They're moving to a much smaller stadium in Sacramento called Sutter Health Park before they take a hop over the mountains, over the Sierra Nevadas to play in Las Vegas. If they build that stadium down in Las Vegas, and it looks like that may happen, but I don't care what you think. Baseball is great when the playoffs are here. In the regular season, it can be a little bit long, drawn out, monotonous. So I don't want to get into who likes baseball more than football or basketball. But I do think baseball, when the playoffs are here, Big C is going to report on it every day. And we have a game underway already in the National League wild card. The New York Mets taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. That game is on ESPN. And the wild card also will have the Atlanta Braves taking on the San Diego Padres at 8:38 p.m. first pitch, East Coast time. And then you have the American League, Detroit at Houston. Houston's just maybe the most consistent team in Major League Baseball in the last decade. Detroit's at Houston, and then Kansas City at the Baltimore Orioles. We will see what happens there. Then tomorrow, of course, those teams will all play again in the recap. We'll see what happens. On Thursday, I just want to see good baseball. Because in the National League, I think this year's the Dodgers' year again. They have the great Shohei Ohtani, who almost hit 60 for 60, 60 stolen bases, 60 home runs. Not quite there, but he got close to it. And then, of course, Philadelphia, they swing the bat very well. We will see what happens. In my opinion, it would be great, just my opinion, to see a New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers World Series. Will that happen? I don't know. But I know it'd be great baseball. It'd be great theater. And I know that Major League Baseball rankings would like that as much as any other franchises matching up Dodger Blue against the Yankee pinstripes. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. You know, I was talking earlier about a good boy from the Bay Area named Jared Goff. played at Marian Catholic High School in the Bay Area, went to Cal Berkeley, was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams, took them to a Super Bowl, didn't have a lot of success after that Super Bowl, but they lost to New England. And then he found his way in Detroit with a trade that sent Matthew Stafford to Los Angeles, and then Jared Goff to Detroit. Ironically, everybody says that he doesn't have the arm to be a top-notch quarterback in the NFL. I think he's a little bit skinny, kind of built like Joe Montana, but he does have an arm that can be competitive in the NFL, Jared Goff. I want to stand up for him just a little bit. When anybody goes 18 for 18 in an NFL football game, that's not luck. You got to realize that. And they did it against the Seahawks, who were undefeated. A perfect game in the NFL might not be as impressive as a perfect game in baseball, but in terms of all-time occurrences, Jared Goff, he rewrote the record books last night in a perfect passing game on Monday Night Football. The Lions quarterback, he did not throw an incompletion. That's incredible in a 42-29 win over the Seattle Seahawks. And he did some of the dirty work with a touchdown reception on a pass from Amon-Ra St. Brown, who played at Mater Dei High School in Southern California and then went on to USC before getting into the NFL. They have a great combination. Both came out of private high schools in California. And both of them, listen up, Pac-12, both of them played in the Pac-12, which is now the Pac-10, or the Big Ten. Makes no sense, but that's what happened. On Monday, no quarterback in NFL history had attempted more than 10 passes in a game without an incompletion. Now, Goff and some help from the Seattle Seahawks defense became the first. It was curiosity wasn't enough to earn him a perfect passer rating. But you got to realize it was a historic night in Detroit. The good old boy was 18 for 18, 292 yards, with 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 sacks, and also received a touchdown pass. A passer rating of 155.8. You can't get better than that. He was perfect 18 for 18, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also added a reception from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not only was it the best completion percentage of his career, but it's also the best completion rate of any quarterback with more than 10 passes in a game. Kurt Warner, he went 10 for 10 before suffering a knee injury in a game in 2005, and Jared Goff beat him by 8 passes with an 18 for 18 display. How do you win a game like that, score 42 points without passing more than 18 times? You can't say it's their defense. They just had a perfect game. It's like going to the Masters and you're at the 18th green and you're tied for the lead. And all you got to do is sink a 1-foot putt. Golf, up to the tee, the putt. It rolls in your life. Have you ever seen anyone in the NFL go 18 for 18? Not until last night. The great Jared Goff, the first one to do that. So I want to give him congratulations for that. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. No matter what you think, how about those Lions? Those Lions. But they're probably not the best team in their division. I still like what I see with the Minnesota Vikings, even though they let, the Vikings, they let one get away in Green Bay. But when you look at Jared Goff, what he did last night, compared to some of the top quarterbacks in the league to ever do that, with the completion and percentage record, Jared Goff, 18 for 18 this year, last night. You got to go to another great quarterback by the name of Drew Brees. He was 29 of 30 in 2019. That's 97%. And then you got to look at Phillip Rivers. He was 22 of 23 in 2018. That was 96%. The great Brock Purdy for the 49ers in 2023. He was 20 for 21. That's 95%. The great Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20 in 2020. That's 95%. You got to realize how great these players have been. Marcus Mariota, 22 of 23, 96% 2018. Alex Smith, 18 of 19 in 2012. That's 95% passing rating. And then Ryan Tannehill, 18 of 19 in 2015. That's a 95% passer rating. So Goff is the first player in NFL history with no incompletions, through at least 15 pass attempts in a game. Phillip Rivers, however, holds the record for consecutive completions with 25 in a game that placed him at the top of this list in 2018. Only Drew Brees pulled ahead of him in 2019. I gotta tell you, I just want to give that good boy some praise because the Rams wanted him out of town, and now he's doing his thing in Detroit, wishing him nothing but the best. The Detroit Lions are a good team. You gotta realize when a team is good and they lean on a player that can make a big difference for them, and Jared Goff is doing that. And so I'm proud of how he's been doing his thing with the Detroit Lions. I want to also bring you to Big C's college football power rankings. I saw some great football games over the weekend. USC in their first Big Ten win over the Wisconsin Badgers. It was a big game at the Coliseum. I'm so excited about what's happening in college football. I was talking to my big brother, about college and how we have 12 teams this year that would make the playoffs. Is a lot better, in my opinion, than 4 teams that made it last year, and a whole lot better than the 2 teams that they came out with about 20 years ago when they would choose number 1 versus number 2 to play. Now you get to play more for the wins, and that's what I like about college football. So as we stand up for the kickoff on the heels of a weekend that brought more big developments than any other so far, and you got to think about that Alabama-Georgia game. I got Big C's college football power rankings. If the fans in the South, if they would be as passionate about reparations now, reparations forever, we would get reparations in the South. You got to realize it. Sports brings people together. I think reparations will stimulate the economy. But in a fan's world, they love the sport. I won't forget anytime soon that Alabama and the Georgia Bulldogs, I thought in a real fight, an elephant would smash a bulldog. And I won't say they smashed Georgia, but it looked like it was going to be a smash until Georgia came back. It's like in Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, where the Bulldogs struck back. They struck back, but then the elephant struck again. They put on a show that had us on the edge of our seats until the end of the game. It was a matchup between undefeated conference opponents in Alabama, and ended up walking out of Bryant and Denny Stadium with a 4-0 record. You got to give that crowd some praise. Those good boys were not shucking and driving. They were hooting and hollering. They were hooting and hollering down south. There were a lot of good boys like a hoot and holler. But it's something that I love watching with college football. I want to see the best, in my opinion. And that's what I love about this 12-game playoff. A lot like the FCS, where they take 24 teams and they all get a chance to play for number 1. And now what I'm seeing in college football is they're starting to get it right. I know some people fought the 12-team playoff, but this to me makes college football a lot more exciting. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 10 in Big C's college football power rankings. I have the USC Trojans for the second week in a row. The Trojans started off sluggish against a Big Ten opponent, but Lincoln Riley's team, it made the second half adjustments necessary to bounce back from a deficit. And I got to say, they got robbed at Michigan. They should be undefeated in the Big Ten because there was face masks and horse collars in that game against Michigan. But that's what you get when you get home cooking and you're the new kid on the block joining a new conference. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 9 in Big C's college football power rankings. I'm going to go with the Michigan Wolverines. I'm just doing it because they beat USC. I think it was some home cooking, but a win is a win. The Wolverines recorded a 1-score home win for the second straight week, but the team's outlook doesn't look quite as promising as it did after beating USC. Michigan failed to eclipse 100 passing yards as Alex Orji had 86, an improvement from 32 against USC. But at the same time, if you can throw for less than 100 yards and you can win your games, Michigan might find themselves fighting for a Big Ten championship. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got number 8 in Big C's college football power rankings. The Penn State Nittany Lions. The Nittany Lion is a real lion. It's not as scary as a lion for the Detroit Lions, but it's good. The Nittany Lions, they did not play their cleanest game, but they wore down Illinois in a hard-fought 21-7 win. In Penn State, their standout running back duo, Kytron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, combined for 197 yards. Those good boys can really lay their chest in the wind, really do like watching them play. I got to say, in my opinion, number 7 in Big C's college football power rankings is my story. I'm sticking with it. I got the Miami Hurricanes. Did they really win that game against Virginia Tech? According to the scoreboard, yes. It would have been easy enough to look at Week 5 narrow escape against the Virginia Tech Hokies as a reminder that nothing about Miami this season is guaranteed. But I tell you what, I still put them as number 7 in the country. They're a dominant football team. And with Ward at quarterback, who played at Washington State last year, you got to look at this team winning the ACC. I got number 6 in Big C's college football power rankings. Quack, 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 quack. The Oregon Ducks. At times, it looks like Oregon was going to blow out UCLA by more than 30 points, and yet there were still moments during Saturday night's 34-13 win over the Bruins, and with the Ducks seemed like they were going to walk away. Another time, they took their foot off the gas, and they let them off the hook. You want to crown them? Crown them. The Bruins are who we thought they were. The late, great Dennis Green. Ironically, in the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, to see Oregon play UCLA as members of the Big Ten, it just doesn't feel right. You ever put on some shoes that don't feel right? Well, that game did not feel right. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 5 in Big C's college football power rankings. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's a dog. I got the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart did not mince words. He said he did not have his team ready to play on Saturday in a 41-34 loss to Alabama, but the Bulldogs, they're now 3-1. They fell behind 28-0 before rallying to take the lead. And then Superman showed up. And that good old boy, the quarterback that I'll talk about later for Alabama, a Heisman Trophy game, almost 500 yards of total offense. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got to say, in my opinion, number 4 in Big C's college football power rankings, I have the Tennessee Volunteers, Rocky Top. The Georgia and Alabama game was amazing. One of the best games of the season, probably. Ole Miss was falling to Kentucky. And Texas was working a little harder than expected to get past Mississippi State. Tennessee was kicked back on a bye week, basking in the glow of a 4-0 start and a 216-28 scoring margin. I like what Tennessee's doing. I don't have them winning the SEC, but I do like what Tennessee is doing. They are a good team, but I won't put them as the SEC champion. Not yet. They got to earn it. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. I got number 3 in Big C's college football power rankings. It's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. And I know when people think, well, this team is always given the benefit of the doubt. But at the same time, they haven't won a national championship since they beat Oregon back in the day. I got the Ohio State Buckeyes. A Buckeye is a nut. You beat nuts not to rank Ohio State as a leader of the Big Ten. True freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith again stole the show this time with a pair of dazzling one-handed grabs at the Buckeyes. They easily got past the Michigan State Spartans 38-7 with 5 receiving touchdowns already. Smith is only 3 scores away from breaking Chris Carter's record set in 1984 for the most receiving touchdowns by an Ohio State true freshman. In one season, Smith also scored in a 19-yard touchdown on a reverse in the second quarter. You be nuts not to pick Ohio State as the top team right now in the Big Ten. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. And now I got number 2 in Big C's college football power rankings. How about those Longhorns? The Longhorns from Texas. How good is Texas? The Longhorns with their backup quarterback. Kind of a sloppy start in their SEC opener against Mississippi State. Lost 2 fumbles. He dropped a wide open touchdown pass and had 8 offensive penalties. But they still rolled up 522 yards, won by 22 over the Bulldogs. And this helps Archie Manning in their backup quarterback and could start at almost every school in the United States. He threw for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, and rushing for 33 more. Another touchdown, but going into a bye week, the Longhorns are 5-0. They played most of their roster doing 3 non-conference wins, in which they outscored opponents 159-10 and added a 31-12 road win at the Big House in Michigan. You got to tell me that Texas is good. Are they as good as the days of Vince Young? Maybe not. But right now, they're good enough to be number 1. But I have them number 2. That's my story. I'm sticking with number 1 in Big C's college football power rankings. The Alabama Crimson Tide! Big C, we want a real elephant. Well, I can't get you a real elephant. That's my effort to make an elephant sound. It sounds like somebody's eating dogs. as Trump and Vance talked about, somebody's eating dogs? Or is that an elephant screaming down at Alabama? Alabama ranked number 1. Alabama had owned Georgia with touchdown coach Nick Saban as the head coach, and now in comes Kalen DeBoer out of the Pac-12 at Washington. He coached at Fresno State before Washington. Everywhere he goes, his quarterbacks succeed. It was DeBoer's debut in the rivalry game. This one was wild until the end, with Alabama holding on to win 41-34 after leading 28-0 in the first half. A pair of true freshmen came up big time for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Roll Tide! Their 4-0 now receiver Ryan Williams scored the go-ahead touchdown on a 75-yard catch and spin and moving to the end zone. And then Georgia was driving to potentially tie the game with cornerback Xavier Brown. He intercepted Georgia's quarterback Carson Beck in the end zone. DeBoer said afterward there was obviously celebration in the locker room, but added, "We expected to win these games," and he won a bunch of them too. He's 13-2 in his past 15 games against Associated Press nationally ranked teams, going back to the University of Washington and also here with Alabama, and has lost only 3 games as a Power 5 conference coach, including his 2 seasons at Washington. Alabama still has some tough tests remaining, notably Tennessee and LSU on the road. At the same time, how about those Tide? Give that some praise. Give that some praise. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. We got some NBA basketball teams opening camp all over this great country, and Big C will get into that coming up the rest of the week. But I love NBA basketball. I love college football. I love NFL football. I love it all. I love politics. I love everything that I'm doing with Big C's Brother Podcast. Coming out soon for Christmas. Hopefully you can go into any mall in Denver Hills, United States, and you can buy the Big C's Extra Wide Load fitness gear. The Big C's Extra Wide Load fitness sports gear. It sits on everybody's big assets. If you got a big asset, I'm going to make a double and wide load for you. If you got to get pants that will fit your big assets, if that makes sense, dear. If you got a small assets, I have some sportswear that'll fit your small assets, if that makes sense, dear. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got to say also, I want to just say with Big C Sports Podcast, the National Black Wall Street Project School and Economic Preparatory Individual Education for Economic Initiative Handbook. I'm bringing it to you with the RDC team and the help of Ray De La Cruz, the CEO, and Big C Sports. Also, the National Black Wall Street Project with Reverend CEO Tony Pierce, also PAC Committee 00, and also Brother Aleem Shabazz. We are doing our thing. Dear students, it is our pleasure to welcome you to the National Black Wall Street School and Economic Preparatory for the school year 2024-2025. At the new Black Wall Street School, we are dedicated to providing you with the best possible education in a diversified economic environment. Your support of the policies and adherence to the procedures ensure the smooth and effective school functions. The cooperation of home and school is one of the major tenets of the success of you and your family's economic growth to succeed in a better way of life. That's coming to a university near you this year. Mid-Atlantic strike. Give that some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Coming out for this Christmas, Big C's Extra Wide Load. You hold for position. Make sure you put the big side in the front and not the back. You don't want to walk around with a sports gear and you got that extra wide load in the back. Make sure you put them on right so the wide load's in the front. If that makes sense, yeah. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports podcast, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. I would say some mothers and some fathers, because I know some parents who let their kids drink and encourage them to drive. Don't do that if you love them. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off, but don't let some of your loves get behind the wheel of a car and start driving after they've been drinking. I've seen people encourage their kids to drink and drive. It's a crazy thing. Are you out of fucking mind? Don't drink and drive. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, my beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that crap on their own. If you know anybody going through that garbage, Pick up the phone and call 911 because you need more LEADA in your life. LEADA is an acronym for love is the answer. Anybody that loves you only hit you because you make me mad. They don't hit you. Call 911. Anybody that loves you, they don't kick you. Only kick you because you make me mad. Pick up the phone and call 911. Anybody that loves you, they don't choke you out. Only choke you out because you make me mad. Pick up the phone and call 911 because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go to that crap. If someone loves you, they don't hit you, they don't beat you, they don't kick you. That's my story. I'm sticking with it, and things change when the police show up. Believe me, things change when the police show up. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my mother's side, my great-grandmother, Mama, and my great-grandfather, Pop, beautiful, loving, kind people, always making sure lots of love in the family and lots of food in the belly. In fact, you know how young boys are, playing in the backyard with my brothers. We come running in the house. Great-grandma, I'm hungry. Those ribs smell so good. I want them to be in my belly now. And some collard greens. She said, okay, baby, go wash your hands. You can have some ribs and collard greens. I don't want to wash my hands, great-grandma. I'm hungry now. She said, baby, just go wash your hands. You can have some ribs and collard greens. I'm too hungry to eat to go wash my hands. She said, you wash your hands in this house. And then we wash our hands. And we would get some ribs and collard greens. Love my great-grandmother, all my heart, my body, and soul. My beautiful great-grandfather, Pop, former military man and former Negro League baseball player, can fix anything with his hands. Planes, trains, and automobiles with his hands. He could even fix an alternator. He could even fix an alternator. Love them with all my heart, my body, and soul. And then my beautiful grandparents, Muddy and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, their present, and their future. They still help me to this day. I love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and coached an all-boys Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine. The best person I ever met in my life. I love your mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Mama, you know my prayers. I'm doing my praise. I just praise and praise and praise. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. I love you, mama, with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I ever met in my life. And then on my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. They also owned 40 acres of land. Now, United States government gave white people 160 acres of land. And even white Europeans. But we keep rising and shining. That's why it's so important to talk about reparations tonight at the VP candidate debate. They got to do it. You got to do it. I was 8 years old walking through the hallway in Oakland about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touching me on my forehead. She said, what are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies? I said, what are you doing? Grandma, it's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, what are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies? I said, cookies are baby crap, but I'm doing, great grandma. I'm going to get my reparations. But a couple of cookies wouldn't hurt. It's been a long wait. She said, there's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. And now the Big C Sports Podcast is being broadcast all over. As I say, all over, just like in the house, as a young boy, all over the universe. I love my grandmother with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my grandfather could do anything. He could do anything with his hands and his mind. He could even fix an alternator. He could even fix an alternator. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that airplanes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying, go forward, develop your mind to its highest extent. I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice. Sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying, go forward. In fact, he said, don't look back because you don't have much backside. I said, I love my backside, Todd. But he said I needed to do more squats so I have a bigger backside. And I said, I always want to do more squats. And you know, that stuff's working. I've been doing more squats, and now I have a bigger backside. And I'm doing it the natural way with squats. You know, Todd and I, we love Malcolm X. But we also love the movie called Pulp Fiction. It had Sam Jackson, John Travolta, Vin Rames, and Bruce Willis. And in the big fight, it's like politics. Vin Rames said, Bruce Willis, come sit your butt down. Now take this money, And remember, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, Flip! And he said, okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round. He told him, that stinging sensation you're feeling, well, that's just pride flubbing with you. And he told him, flub pride. He said, pride only hurts. It never helps. He says politics is filled with a lot of unrealistic muddly pluckers who think their butt gets better with time like fine wine. But it don't. In terms of vinegar, then it do. One day you're going to thank Uncle Marsalis. When you're chilling in the Caribbean, you're going to say Uncle Marsalis is right. Well, we know he did not take the dive, and he lost his LA privileges. Just like people lose their privileges when they don't get enough votes. You got to count all the votes. I love time with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate with 3 degrees with honors in 3.5 years from a major university. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17. I pray that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Daisy, she set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the day at Salem Media. It became the first time in the history of the United States of America that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. They had never done that before until Big C came to town with that big old belt. But you know, shenanigans happened, and the show went away, but I'm still standing. I'm still standing! I'll always rise and shine! And I can fix an alternator. love you, Daisy, with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. One time, Daisy scored 6 goals in a soccer game. Now, she's right-footed, but she scored it left foot. It was like Daisy with the ball, Daisy with the kick, Daisy with the goal, 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 goal! And the team won the game. Ambidextrous. Daisy, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. You can do anything. I'm so proud of you. You're a superwoman. Always trust God. Always trust God. Love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm. The most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart. Good man. Malcolm helped me save trees.
I want to show you how to make...
Yeah, you helped me save trees, Malcolm. I used to always get the newspaper and look up stats for players and teams for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? And a light bulb went off. I've been Googling ever since. Now on 29 podcast platforms and streaming on 4 TV platforms, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, always trust God. Always pray Isaiah 54:17 that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. One day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and you'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. And shortly after that, you can see it streaming Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. Malcolm, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God. Always do the right thing. I'm so proud of you, son. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, like my great-grandparents coming out of that barn with their church buddies, always saying, I can fix an alternator. You got to believe. You got to believe. You got to believe. Say, let's get ready to rumble. I love to say, welcome to the show. FB nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. All I have is this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients called it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. That's why I scream so loud, because I want God to hear my prayers. God, you hear my prayers. I'm praying, praying, praying. You know I deserve it, God. It's my time. The answer card moment. God, say yes. Just say yes and give that some praise. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. I love saying it. I want to say it, God, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. As I always tell you, I pay homage to the best fighter in the history of the universe, the great Muhammad Ali. Back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty. I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, it makes me say, reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. The up goes reparations. Up goes reparations. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. What Vance and Walz to say tonight is what President Abraham Lincoln and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King has talked about. America, in order to be great and just in God's eyes, we got to repair. We need the Just Act for descendants of chattel slavery. What's the Just Act, Gibson? You got to Google the Just Act, the JUST-ACT. We need that for descendants of chattel slavery. It takes the good people to do it, and I believe it's going to happen now. Do it now, do it now, do it now. What do we want? Reparations. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Reparations. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Reparations. When do we want it? Now. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope that you have a super, fantastic day.
For a unique point of view on pro sports game analysis, get tuned into Big C Sports Podcast on iHeartRadio. Get real sports talk worldwide. Miss a live episode? Replay it on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Join Big C, former NFL player and longtime award-winning radio broadcaster, covering all sports including NFL, NBA, MLB, UFC, NCAA, USL, and more. Tune in live or on demand on iHeartRadio Podcast today.